And I would like to say that I learned a lot from this, but I didn't. I'd like to say that it was worth the time and effort and energy that I put in, but it wasn't. It was just, this was a bad time all around. Hello friends, my name is Elizabeth. I am an American living here in London, and I am really bad at knitting, but I think I'm pretty good at buying yarn. So if you're interested in seeing some of my anti-aspirational, screwed up projects where I basically stumble my way through something until it looks like a child made it and still feel pretty proud of the results, then stick around. Feel free to subscribe. I do try to update every Tuesday, and so far I've been succeeding because I'm going to do a little tour of my abandoned whips. I'm going to walk you through why I abandoned each of these whips. Some of them, I know in my heart of hearts, I do need to frog. Some of them, looking at them now, maybe not so much. I'm not sure. I'm really interested to see what you think. So I'm going to go from probably the most hopeless to the most hopeful and see what you think. So the first one, I actually talked about this a little bit in my very first video, which was a video about how I've been trying to knit my husband a Henley for almost a year with not particularly good results. This absolutely beautiful twisted rib button band. I think it looks great. I mean, it's not perfect, but to me, you are perfect. There's no button band. It's like a magic trick. I just showed you a button band. Where'd it go? Where's the button band? Where's the button band? Would you like to know where the button band is? It's on the freaking armhole. Put amazing button band on the armhole. So my first abandoned whip was actually the first pattern that I tried as far as knitting a Henley for Adam goes. The pattern was called Rough Cut. It was very rough, and the fabric that I came up with, I believe she called this a thermal rib stitch. It's not great. There's lots of holes, and also I just keep losing the plot. This was such a frustrating project that it made me actively want to knit less. Also, at this point, since it's been a while, I don't quite remember why I have 3 balls of the same yarn on just this amount of fabric, but they're coming apart. I bought a lot of this yarn. I think I bought more than I needed, so I'm not really thinking that I need to frog this back anytime soon, which is why it's still sort of sitting like this, but this goes into the graveyard of abandoned projects for sure. And I would like to say that I learned a lot from this, but I didn't. I'd like to say that it was worth the time and effort and energy that I put in, but it wasn't. It was just, this was a bad time all around. So sometimes you've just got to say goodbye, and there's no shame in that. I was in over my head. Simple stockinette is where I need to be. Smell you later, Rough Cut. This project was probably the first big ambitious project I ever tried, and it's much more emotionally difficult for me to frog this one back. So this is a cardigan. I believe the pattern is Cosmos, and look at all of this fingering weight stitching. So much fingering weight. Yeah. And like I said, this was my first project, so I was so eager. Let me feel your embrace one last time. So, actually looking in, if you can't see the fact that it's not done and you're not looking too closely, it doesn't look half bad. You can see, because I can't crochet, and this called for a provisional cast on, I just knit a line or two in waste yarn instead of doing a crochet cast on. I just desperately wanted this done, and I told myself going full Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours. If I put in the time and I put in the energy, I would just get better at knitting. So by the time I was done with this, I would be better at knitting. And that's what I told myself every time I didn't go back and fix a mistake. Every time I realized that for some weird reason I had 10 more stitches than I was supposed to, or there were big eyelet-esque holes in my raglan increases, or whatever else. I was like, whatever, I just want to get it done. I just want to get it done. There's a world of mistakes in this, and the raglans in particular, I think, are a great example, because these were not supposed to be decorative eyelet raglans. And they're not even particularly decorative because they're so wonky. Like this, what the hell's going on here? Like, it's not pretty. The lapels are supposed to be 1x1 rib. I don't know what that is, but that's definitely not 1x1 rib. It's messed up, is whatever it is. And so I was like, this is gonna look wonky. This is gonna look weird. This is gonna look bad. But at the end, I'll have a cardigan, and that's the important thing. I want to get through this whole project. I wasn't thinking about the fact that when I got to the part for the armholes, and my stitch count was so wildly off, I just stared at the pattern for a while, and I was like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Like, I just messed it up. I messed it up so badly. There's no going back. There's no making it work from there. So I abandoned this project. And it's a shame because I love this yarn. I love this yarn so much. This is one of my favorite yarns. I've talked about it before. This is Art Yarn's Merino Cloud. This is the camo colorway. It's this beautiful sort of variegated olive green, which is one of my favorite colors. Certainly one of my favorite colors to wear. And I think the fabric that it made, if you're not looking at my mistakes, is just beautiful. Like, it's variegated, but it's not too variegated. It's sort of stripy, and the fiber content is 80% extra fine merino, 20% cashmere, so it feels like a dream to have over my shoulders. But God, I've messed this up in a dozen different ways, and I need to just let it go. I need to frog this so I can reclaim the yarn, because I love the yarn. I should really do something else with it. I don't know what else I should do with it. What do you think I should do with 2,000 yards of cashmere merino that can be used anywhere from lace weight to DK weight? Let me know. Sound off in the comments. Because it is really luxe. It is really beautiful. Wow, I absolutely defiled this yarn. And it's time for me to just fully frog the project. I know that. But I have so much yarn. I have so much yarn that it's so much easier for me to start a new project than it is for me to repurpose this yarn, even if I do have a very soft spot in my heart for it. So it's just stayed on the needles. This was so long ago. This was so long ago, you guys, that I'm still using wooden needles. Like, there's wooden needles in these projects. I don't remember. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I used wooden needles, but that's how long it's been since I've worked on this. The last two projects are sort of in similar places where I could probably keep going, honestly, but I've just sort of lost the vibe. I've taken them off the needles, and it shouldn't be that bad for me to tink it back. It's just a matter of finding a project I want to use this yarn for instead. So this was, I forget the pattern, but this was a V-neck sweater with a very deep V. I think that's part of the reason why I don't necessarily want to, like, it's borderline. I love a deep V. I'm not somebody who likes stuff all up on my neck. Like, I like a deep V. I'm not afraid of a low neckline. This would have been borderline pornographic on me, I think. Just a little bit too deep of a V. It turns out when some people say deep V, they mean deep V. Anyway, the more that I say the phrase deep V, the weirder it sounds. So I'm just going to stop saying it if that's okay with you. Great. Okay. So I love this yarn. This is from Expression Fiber Arts. It's actually a different color than I thought I would get. It was Antiqued Bronze was the name on the website, and it definitely looked more brown. Whereas this is like a solid, warm, pewter gray. I was expecting more of like a blackened bronze, like something a little bit more of a golden tone, I think. And this is a little bit of a cooler tone, which I don't know if that necessarily works with my skin, but I still love the yarn. I'll put it up on the board. It's a silk blend, silk merino, I think. I don't love my tension in this fabric. This was before I realized that I should be knitting through the back loop before I've joined in the round. And I think I've already tinked back, so you can't see how very different my tension was. But looking at this, I was like, where's the pretty V's? Where's the pretty V's that I'm so used to with stockinette? Because this is just a weird texture to me. This is not the texture that I was going for, and I didn't know why. And it's because when I'm knitting flat, my knit and my purl stitches are very different. And so it just looks like one part of the V is like swollen in comparison to the other part of the V. And I just didn't like the way that that turned out from like a fabric standpoint. So now that I figured out how to fix that, I should just redo it. The other thing that I noticed, most of this was one skein of yarn, and I recently at the bottom changed to a second skein, and you can see that it's a lot darker. And so I should have been alternating skeins from the beginning, but I wasn't. And so it was really the combination of those two things that made me abandon the project. So rest in peace, V-neck sweater. I'm sure at some point you will become a different V-neck sweater that is a little less, I'm not going to use that phrase again, that's a little less V and a little more neck. So this is another really interesting project that I think I stopped working on for a similar sort of tension issue. When I made my husband the Winter League pullover by Alexander Tavel, I used this incredible bulky yarn from Rowan that is silk, mohair, and cashmere. And it's like a ribbon. It's flat. My daughter Gwen called that sweatshirt Adam's fettuccine sweatshirt because she loved the shape of the yarn and thought it looked like fettuccine. And my daughter's 22. This isn't like a cute little kid thing. This is like a cute 20-year-old mocking me thing. But I really love the way that it turned out. And so I bought, it's very expensive yarn, but I found a place that has it 50% off sometimes online. And so they were running a sale, and I was like, let me buy a bunch of the same yarn, but in burgundy for myself, because I love this color. And so I started making myself a different, I think this is Feels Like Winter is the name of the pattern. I didn't get very far because, again, I wasn't in love with the texture. Like the tension just wasn't tensioning the way that I wanted it to. And you can see a little bit that I'm having some of the same issues in the raglans that I was having on that cardigan. And I don't consider myself a perfectionist, and certainly by any stretch of the imagination. Like, look at some of the other stuff I made, you guys. It's not anywhere near perfect. But I think overall, I didn't like the fabric that was coming out, regardless of the mistakes I was making. And so that's why I ended up abandoning the project. I might honestly do what I'd been planning on doing originally before I found this pattern and just make myself a Winter League pullover with this yarn. I do need to frog it back though. I'm not super motivated to make myself an incredibly heavy silk mohair cashmere sweater in summer. So I don't know if this is going to be happening anytime soon, but those are the projects that have sort of been sitting in the back of my sideboard behind me in plastic bags and going, hey, remember us? Are you going to do anything about us? And someday I will. Someday you will all get repurposed into the beautiful projects that you were meant to be, but for now, you are going to be laid to rest in my project graveyard, which is another word for the far right section of my sideboard. So yeah, that was a short one today. I just thought you'd be interested to see, considering how much I embrace mistakes, what mistakes are big enough to get me to completely abandon a project. I'm really interested to know, what's your goofiest abandoned whip? Like, what is the abandoned whip you are least proud of and most looking forward to frogging? I'd love to know ways in which you've screwed up your projects. And who knows, maybe on this channel sometime soon, probably not soon, but maybe on this channel sometime, you'll be seeing a much better finished object out of some of this previous yarn. So yeah, thanks for spending some time with me. If you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I do upload every Tuesday or thereabouts. And thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.